What's up, guys? I'm Landon from Shoewear, and today we're checking out the 10th shoe to release from this budget-friendly Nike KD Trey 5 shoe line. Let's go.
I got blessings falling on me. I got weapons, need no armor. Stat like Tetris, you don't know me. Stat my fatty, you don't know me. Okay, hey now. It's a new kid on the playground.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at the Nike KD Trey 5X in this blue chill colorway. And honestly, I am really excited for these for a few different reasons. But knocking out some of the basic info, these did get a $5 price jump from the 9s, and these are now going to retail for $95. And that's still not bad, like nearly $60 cheaper than Kevin Durant's, main shoe line with Nike. Those are $150 for like this newest KD 15 model that I got over my shoulder here. But I mean, still, this is a really clean shoe in my opinion. I mean, not only did Nike add the strap, but honestly, I think it's one of the coolest straps that I've played in. Like the majority of it is going to be transparent or just kind of see-through. And you got KD's logo kind of like running or kind of like positioned in the middle there with the wave pattern running over the top. And then the Nike swoosh with some like squiggly lines is like where that strap is going to connect to the Velcro. And last year's KD 14 model on his main line had like a really cool Grim Reaper looking strap. KD's nickname is the Slim Reaper, so I thought it was kind of cool how they tied that in there. You can see it a little bit up there on that pink colorway, but I mean, yeah, I really do just love this shoe. And then just above that strap is going to be the Roman numeral X for this being his 10th shoe, and then under that is the number 7 for his jersey number on the nets. And me and my buddy actually talked about this a little bit in my first impressions video like a few weeks back, but I think it's funny how this whole shoe, like how this whole Trey 5 line, or just like 35 in other words, was named after his jersey number 35 that he wore with the Thunder and then with the Warriors. And then changing it up, I just feel like it had to make Nike feel some type of way because this shoe just doesn't make quite as much sense now. Maybe they just don't care. I just thought that was kind of funny. But on the midsole, you're going to get that same embossed disc that was there on the KD Trey 5 9s. Then on the inner side of that midsole is a GT Run logo. And that pops up on a few different models, like from time to time. I think it was on Giannis's like budget-friendly shoe line, like the Immortality 2s, if I remember that right. But you're also going to get some sniper text that shows up in that green portion, kind of up near the toe. KD's nickname on social media, or like his social media handle, is like Easy Money Sniper. So there's just a lot of nice touches on the shoe, but I feel like I've definitely gone on long enough. So now let's see how these play on the court. So now checking out more of the materials and the performance side, and starting off with the cushioning. Something I like about this shoe that you are starting to see more basketball shoes doing now is just kind of labeling what's on the shoe, just the type of stuff that's being used. So as marked out on the upper for these, you are going to get a Zoom Air unit in the forefoot that is meant to give you a springy and responsive sensation. And it actually doesn't mention it in the tech specs like for this shoe on the site, but on the midsole, on the heel, you're also going to see some Nike Renew text. So I'm assuming that's probably the foam that was used kind of in this model. And for a cheaper model, the cushioning does play pretty nice. Like, I mean, I remember that from last year too on the KD Trey 5 9s. That did have one of the better on-court feels for cushioning, just coming out of one of those more affordable shoe lines. So I honestly wasn't shocked, but I was definitely glad to see that they haven't really fallen off in that area. And there are some reasons for that. Like, not every shoe is going to get multiple cushioning features whenever they are this low in price. Like, you just don't see a lot of like Air Zoom, Air Max, anything like that, Air anything in a sub shoe line whenever it's under $100. So that Air Zoom unit in the forefoot, it does feel good. And it doesn't feel like it's nearly as spring-loaded as the actual KD 15s. I mean, that had that same type of unit kind of positioned up in the front, but I would describe these as good enough cushioning, or good enough like a feel to feel good. That was a lot of good in there, but I mean, just not a lot of bounce. The energy return is pretty good, but it's just, it's more of a responsive feel for sure. And then using a durometer to get a read on the midsole, these came back at a 39, and that's pretty much right about the average for the basketball shoes that I've tested. Maybe a few ticks above, but still not super stiff whenever we're checking out the softness or like the firmness of that midsole. So that does check out there, but I mean, you can tell that it's not going to feel super cushioned. Like, the cushioning isn't quite as deep as you'd see on like a main shoe line, but that initial layer does feel good for the price. So now looking at the materials and the support, that's a spot where you can start to see some budget-friendly models just begin to take some steps back. But I mean, I don't get that on these. Like, you get a few different materials that you can actually see going on with the upper. That lighter blue portion around the ankle is like essentially the collar of the shoe, and that's going to have more of a plush feel to add to the comfort of these. And then the slightly darker blue that's going to be underneath that and just running up around the toe area is a mesh feel that is going to be more durable just to help keep the shoe intact. And I mean, this just isn't a cheap feeling model from what I've noticed. A lot of times you will see budget-friendly shoes just start to lose it in the cushioning or like in the material section, but I mean, so far so good. But $95 is a little bit up there, to be honest, like for a budget-friendly line. Like, that's getting close to the LeBron Witness line at $100, which is fine, except LeBron's main line is $200, KD's are $150, but it's whatever, kind of getting off track here, but the support is another spot that the shoe is going to hold up well. Like, I feels like I spent 10 minutes talking about it just a second ago, but clearly these do get that strap on the midfoot to help you just, you know, get a more secure feel. And then you also have a KD disc kind of built into the midsole, and that's going to play a part in just keeping your heel from sliding around or just moving more than it should. So you're going to be covered up in the front, like the middle section, along with the back side of the shoe. So with some nice materials to go along with that being used in the upper. And then all of this happens while keeping the shoe, keeping the same exact light feel from last year's shoe. Like the size 10.5 is going to weigh all the way down at 364 grams. Like that's going to be a couple grams heavier than last year, but I mean, these even added the strap. So a crazy light model to play in that doesn't lack in like either of these two categories that we just covered. Love to see that. Wrapping it up with the traction, this is one of the spots where honestly they didn't really change anything from the 9s. The KD Trey 5X has more of like a random traction pattern, or at least that's kind of what it looks like, but the setup is actually inspired by sound waves just to tie in KD's love of music, and that is going to be the same as last year's shoe. And I mean, traction is arguably the highlight of this model. Like, the grip on the floor is so nice. I thought there was like, you know, a good chance that these would translate well indoors whenever I was shooting around and like testing them out outdoors during my first impressions video, and it's safe to say that we can check that box. And even doing our squeak test, you can just hear the noise that they're making on the court, and that is exactly how they play. Like the grip has been so nice, and I haven't had any issues with like these collecting dust. Honestly, I do play on a pretty clean court. Sometimes, you know, whenever you get this much stick on a shoe initially, it can begin to attract some dust quickly, but I haven't had any issues there. And the grooves aren't super deep, but the outsole doesn't really feel soft, so definitely a model to play in outdoors, especially whenever you have that like, you know, solid cushioning to help just with landing on a harder surface. But to finish off with sizing, I did go true to size, and I mean, you have about a thumb's width left over for your toes for the length, and that's about how I like it. And then the width does run a little bit on the more narrow side, so definitely keep that in mind. But I mean, overall, I am definitely feeling this 10th model from the KD Trey 5 subline. Really the only noticeable spot that they don't perform as well as his main line would be in the cushioning, and these still play really soft. So I mean, you're going to get a super light shoe with good materials, good support, great traction, all for $95. I mean, these things are good to go for indoors and outdoors. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. If this is your first time checking us out, feel free to drop a follow or subscribe wherever you're watching and give this video a like. We would of course appreciate that. And if you're interested in buying these shoes and you want to support our channel, just click the link that we have here on screen. We have links down below or in our bio, so feel free to check that out. But until next time, I'm Landon from Shoewear. Peace.